What kind of wood is the best firewood? How do you rate firewood? What are some of the criteria that you use? Well, these are some of the questions we're going to talk about today on Spring Holler Farm. What criteria do you use to rate a good firewood? Easy to split, easy to find, burns real hot, burns real long, lots of ash, not too much ash. Boy, there's so many different things. And for me, the main thing, since I heat my house with wood, is how much heat do I get out of it is number one, and how long does it last? That's number two. Then comes number three, which is ease of splitting, and four is availability, of course. These are all good things to think about. I have oak, mostly. Lots and lots of oak. Everything you see behind me here, behind me there, all that big pile right there, that's all oak. Now, this little pile here over my shoulder is pine. Nope, that's not pine, that's also oak. I need to step over here a little further. And right there, that little pile there is pine. Why do I bother to cut pine? Well, because we have a lot of it around here, and sometimes there'll be a pine tree in the way of dropping an oak tree. Got to cut it down, you may as well cut it up, right? And pine around here works out really well for when it's not that cold, which here in Arkansas, many times it's not that cold. It'll be in the 30s in the morning, get up into the 50s, even the low 60s in the afternoon. You don't need very much. Build a hot fire in the morning, let it go out, another hot fire in the afternoon, and you're done. Pine works great for that. Pine's easy to split. Most of the time it's really easy to split. Dries fairly quickly. It just burns so fast. It's almost not worth having. But it keeps me from having to use up all my good oak when it's not that cold. So I like it for that. Now you might be wondering, why does it matter what kind of wood I use? I'll burn what I want. And you can do that. You can burn what you want. But one question to ask yourself, a little something to think about. It takes the same amount of work, same amount of gas and oil, same amount of wear and tear on your equipment to cut a cord of pine, which gives you 13 million BTUs of heat, or a cord of oak, which gives you more than double that. Think about that one for a moment. Same amount of work, same amount of money spent for half as much heat. Plus, you're going to have to spend more work because you're going to have to go load your wood burner twice as often with the pine to get the same amount of heat out of it as far as heat quality goes, keeping your house warm. Because it burns so fast and gives off its heat so quickly, your house will get hot, cool, hot, cool, hot, cool. Whereas with oak, it's like warm, warm. See? So there's that to think about too. I have something here that I don't normally have a whole lot of. This is elm. Elm is another one. It burns hotter than pine. Lasts longer than pine. Man, is it hard to split. I mean, really hard to split. If you don't have a log splitter, you may as well not even bother with it because it is that hard to split. Now, I'm going to put in the description down below a few websites that give you the heat ability, we'll call it, of different firewoods. They rate different firewoods based on how much heat you get out of a cord. A cord is a stack that's 8 feet long, 4 feet high, and 4 feet wide, which would be two 2-foot long pieces or three 16-inch pieces, 3 ricks, 2 face cords, or 1 full cord. So how many million BTUs, British thermal units, you get out of 1 cord of firewood? That is how they rate the heat output of firewood. And according to that rating, the best uncontested winner on this one is, we call it hedge in Illinois where I come from, A lot of people call it Osage orange. The wood is a dark yellow, almost orange. The roots are bright orange if they get washed out of the dirt. And that stuff burns at about 32, 33 million BTUs per cord. Now, to give you an idea what the difference is, pine generally burns 12 to 14 million BTUs per cord. And the reason it's not nailed down is, one, different places have evaluated it, and they probably used, and this is number two, different kinds of pine. Different kinds of pine have different heat outputs, just like different kinds of oak have different heat outputs. White oak generally burns an extra 1 to 2 million BTUs per cord over red oak, but red oak's a whole lot easier to split. So I'd say that comes out about even. They both last a good long time and have very little ash, which is also important. You don't have to empty the ash pan twice a day. With good white oak, properly dried, you can go 2 days between emptying the ash pan sometimes. That's nice, especially if it's really cold out. You just don't feel like tromping out there to dump it. My personal favorite overall wood is oak. White oak, depending on the source, because there's different kinds of white oak, but white oak, as a general rule, is around 27, 28 million BTUs per cord. Red oak is 25, 26 million BTUs per cord. So like I said, kind of a wash. Hickory, if you have a good source of lots of hickory, it's almost, I'd say it's probably the best all-around firewood. The only thing I've found with it is you do need to split it fairly quickly after cutting it down, or it will get corky or pethy or whatever you want to call it. It gets kind of soft and it doesn't burn as well. So you need to split it fairly quick, but it burns around 28, 29 million BTUs per cord. Not to mention it smells pretty when it burns. Oak smells pretty, at least I think. White oak smells real pretty when it's freshly split, freshly cut. But hickory doesn't smell good when it's freshly split, freshly cut. But it does smell nice when you burn it. Another one of my favorites for off-season wood, and I've got a little bit of it right here, not a whole lot, and that's black walnut. Black walnut's really easy to split. It smells wonderful when you burn it. Doesn't smell too bad when it's green, but it smells really pretty when you burn it. But it only burns at about 22 million, 21, 22 million BTUs. And back to the elm, 19, 20 million BTUs. You can see that, like I said, in the chart below. So there's differences in firewood. How many million BTUs of heat you get out of each piece. How long it lasts. Like I said before, I think a perfect overall wood is oak. It's usually pretty easy to find, usually not too hard to split. It lasts for years in the stack, so if you don't burn it this winter, you can burn it next winter, it'll still be okay. Hickory is almost the perfect firewood except for how long it'll last. If you split it and stack it and keep it dry, I guess it'll last a long time. If it gets wet very much, it doesn't last very long. So that's where we're at with that. But I do enjoy burning firewood. I do enjoy different types of wood. I wish I had more of something like black walnut because it's easy to split, it's easy to cut, smells wonderful, burns kind of hot, not too hot. It'd be perfect for around here. But when you're heating your house with wood, you want to pick the wood that's overall the best. Something that's going to last, something that's going to give you good heat, and that's oak. In my opinion, white oak. White oak is top of the line. Now, if you have access to Osage orange or hedge, if you have access to that, by all means, keep a face cord around for when it gets really cold. You can throw a few chunks, mix it in there with your oak, get a little extra heat. That's always a good thing to do. Myself, I just like to keep some junk wood around, like the elm or the pine, to burn during the early season and the late season, like October, April, maybe November, March. On those days when it's a low in the 30s and high in the 50s, you just want to throw a little fire in there in the morning, knock the chill off, let it die. Why not use some pine? A lot of people worry about pine creosoting up your chimney, but if it's good and dry, it's like any other wood. burns up. You know, some parts of the country, that's all they have. And what's unfortunate for them is they need oak. Those parts of the country are cold. But anyway, enough about all that. In conclusion, like I said, oak is a really good all-around wood. If you keep it dry, hickory's slightly better. But you could burn just about anything. I found that cedar is really nice too, but you got to make sure you get it good and dry. Wood that I don't like, not a big fan of hackberry. It'll burn, not very good. 17, 18 million BTUs, lots of ash, hard to dry, rots quickly. It's just not a very good wood. Oh, and I forgot to mention black locust. When I lived in Illinois and black locust is plentiful, one of my favorite woods. And here's another thing to think about too. I forgot about this. Osage orange is bad about this. Mulberry, which only burns about 21 million BTUs, but it's easy to split. There's tons of it in some areas of the country, like Illinois. Not much around here. Most yellow woods have a problem with this, and that's popping. If you use Osage orange, and mulberry's even worse, when you open up that door and stir them coals, you better not have anything flammable around, because it's going to be the 4th of July coming out of there. Sparks everywhere. But if you don't mind that, most yellow woods are really good firewoods. Black locust is fantastic. Osage orange, like I said, burns really hot. Mulberry's pretty good too. It burns fairly hot, not as hot, but they all spark a lot. So that's another thing to think about. So I'd just like to thank everybody for watching my videos. I'd like to thank everybody for putting up with my rambling, because I usually don't use a script. I just kind of talk off the cuff. I think about what I want to say ahead of time, and then I come out and say it. So this has been a video about what kinds of firewood are better than others. Pretty much any fruit wood is going to make a really good firewood and a really good smell. But unless you have a lot of it, I'd recommend you save it for smoking meat. That's about it. Thanks again. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Tell your friends. Share it with everybody. And we'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching.